After securing enough delegates to become the Republican candidate for the presidency on March 12th, Trump has emerged as the presumptive nominee for the party. The next crucial step for him is selecting a running mate. Although he still has sufficient time for this decision, speculation surrounding potential candidates has surged. In this video, we will delve into the names that might appear on the ballot alongside Trump as his vice presidential candidate. Stay tuned. Traditionally, presidential candidates select a running mate to balance their ticket and compensate for their shortcomings. For instance, in 2008, Barack Obama, a young and somewhat inexperienced senator, chose Joe Biden, who had a long history in the upper levels of US politics, to offset his lack of experience. Similarly, in 2016, Donald Trump, considered an outsider in politics with a vague tendency toward conservatism, selected Mike Pence. Pence brought both legislative and executive experience to the table, along with a strong evangelical background. However, the dynamics for Trump in 2024 may differ slightly. While Trump's staunch supporters may not perceive any shortcomings in him, independent voters might hold a different view. For Trump himself, loyalty appears to be the primary concern. Especially after Mike Pence's refusal to reject the election results in 2020, loyalty may be even more crucial for Trump than before. Therefore, for each potential candidate, we will examine whether they could complement Trump and assess their loyalty to him. Many names have been mentioned by Trump himself, or he has expressed interest in considering them as his running mate when approached. One frequently mentioned name is Tim Scott. Scott holds the distinction of being the only Black Republican in the Senate. Trump's allies have often suggested that he should choose a woman or a Black man as his vice presidential candidate to address accusations of misogyny and racism. When it comes to loyalty to Trump, the situation becomes somewhat complicated. While Scott voted to certify Biden's 2020 win and maintains his support for Pence's actions, he has demonstrated a strong backing for Trump in recent months. Initially, Scott had plans to run for the presidency, but suspended his campaign in November 2023, well before the primaries began, and subsequently endorsed Trump. Although his Republican primary campaign may have faced challenges, it did attract attentions and positioned him as one of the primary contenders for the vice presidential candidacy. Another name frequently mentioned is Kristi Noem, the governor of South Dakota. Noem is the first female governor of the state and previously served as the sole representative in the U.S. House from South Dakota for 8 years. She is widely known for her staunch support for President Trump. Trump has expressed interest in selecting Noem as his running mate on multiple occasions, and a recent visit to Mar-a-Lago has only intensified speculation about her chances. While her gender could potentially help Trump attract more female voters, her views on various topics, particularly abortion, may divide their supporters. Among all possible candidates, she has the most receptive stance on accepting this role. Vivek Ramaswamy is another name that has been widely discussed. Just a year ago, he was relatively unknown in political sphere. However, upon announcing his candidacy, he quickly garnered attention and initially showed promise within the Republican base. Nevertheless, as time progressed, his momentum waned, leading to his eventual withdrawal from the primaries. Throughout his campaign, Ramaswamy consistently voiced pro-Trump sentiments, demonstrating a positive loyalty check towards the former president. Trump himself expressed consideration for Ramaswamy as a potential vice presidential candidate. At the 2024 CPAC, an annual gathering of conservative activists, Ramaswamy alongside Noem garnered significant support for the VP position. However, recent reports indicate that the Trump team has informed Ramaswamy that he is no longer under consideration for the VP candidacy. Instead, they have offered him a position in Trump's cabinet in the event of a victory. Elise Stefanik is another name that has been floated for the vice presidential position. As a congresswoman from New York, Stefanik currently holds the fourth-ranking position in House GOP leadership. Despite her initial criticism of Trump's rhetoric and policy views back in 2016, she has since transformed into a vocal supporter of the MAGA movement, backing Trump in many of his controversial actions in recent years. Trump himself has acknowledged considering Stefanik as a potential VP pick, and she has openly and enthusiastically welcomed the idea. Another prominent figure that has garnered attention in the media and whom Trump has openly considered is Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida. DeSantis initially entered the presidential race but faced disappointment as his campaign failed to gain significant momentum. Despite initial speculation that he could pose a formidable challenge to Trump in the primaries, DeSantis struggled to secure even second place and suspended his run after just one contest. While he may have a strong base among more traditional Republicans, several obstacles stand in the way of him becoming Trump's running mate. Firstly, DeSantis has explicitly refused to entertain the idea of accepting the vice presidential position. Additionally, there is a potential constitutional barrier, as outlined in the 12th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, which stipulates that electors cannot elect a president and vice president if both are inhabitants of the same state as themselves. Given that both Trump and DeSantis are from Florida, this constitutional provision would prevent the electors from Florida from nominating them as a presidential and vice presidential pair. With Florida's 30 electoral votes playing a crucial role in the presidential election, DeSantis would not be considered a viable option for the VP pick. There are also several other potential candidates, ranging from former Democratic Representative Tulsi Gabbard to Trump's former White House press secretary and current governor of Arkansas, Sarah Huckabee Sanders. This list includes figures such as the governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, former Arizona gubernatorial candidate Kari Lake, Alabama Senator Katie Britt, Florida Representative Byron Donalds, Georgia Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, and even former Fox News host Tucker Carlson. However, it appears highly unlikely that any of these individuals have a significant chance of becoming Donald Trump's running mate. Taking into account our discussion and the likelihood that a woman or a black man has a higher chance of becoming Trump's VP pick, currently Tim Scott, Elise Stefanik, and Kristi Noem emerge as the primary contenders for this position. However, it's important to note that circumstances may evolve in the upcoming months, potentially introducing new contenders into the mix. Only time will tell. This was a brief overview of the potential VP candidates for the Republican Party. If you found this content informative, please like it and subscribe to our channel. We'd love to hear from you, so feel free to share your thoughts, comments, and ideas for future topics in the comments section. Thank you for joining, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.